empire is so clear in Afghanistan. $1 million per troop for 1 year to keep people in Afghanistan at a time when our economy is collapsing, unemployment at record highs, incomes going down, foreclosures and bankruptcies growing, and we're spending $1 million per troop, borrowed from China, borrowed from Saudi Arabia, to fight a war we shouldn't be in. Say no to that empire. Say no to that war. It's not good for our economy. It's not good for our law. Look at the torturers getting away with torturing with no legal challenges to them brought by the Department of Justice. At Voters for Peace, we're trying to bring torture accountability to those lawyers who abuse their law license to authorize torture, a war crime. Empire undermines law. Empire, say no to empire. And finally, empire undermines our democracy. At votersforpeace.us, you can take a pledge and say, I will only vote for anti-war candidates. That's the way to end empire. Demonstrate, vote, be active, say no to empire. Thank you.
I want to bring up Pam Africa from the International Concerned Family and Friends of Mumia Abu Jamal. Pam Africa.
To continue to send a loud, strong message to this government. I want to bring a message about Mumia Abu Jamal and about my family to move non-political prisoners. Mumia Abu Jamal is facing two things within this government, so they think, but we can change all of that. They're saying that Mumia will get life in prison without the possibility of parole or a death sentence. But we're saying no to either one of them. We are not about compromising Mumia's position or our position for the rights of people who stand up uncompromisingly and don't suck up, bend up, kiss up to this government. What we're saying is Mumia should be released unconditionally with no strings attached, based on the fact that he's innocent and based on their laws as well. Because if not, they're going to find out the problems that they're causing. In fact, right now they're finding out. Because if they look and see all of us united together, because we understand war and we understand peace. We understand that the war is just not abroad, but the war is here, right here now.
That's right.
I want to point out too that it's 25 years since this government dropped a bomb, killing 11 black men, women, and children of my family. The 25th anniversary in Philadelphia, we're asking everybody to come out and say that we're opposed to war abroad and we're opposed to war here.
Yes.
Thank you. On the move. Continue to struggle, and let's take this mother-sucker down.
Brothers and sisters, please meet and greet our dear brother. We're in the faith community, we're in this together. Muslim, Jews, Christian, Buddhists, all faith traditions and people of conscience, please recognize our dear brother, Reverend Graylin Hagler. It's good to see all your faces out here. Because folks think that we have forgotten. We have forgotten that there's a war in Iraq. We've forgotten that there's a war in Afghanistan. That we've forgotten that there's a war against working people right here in the United States. But we're here to say that we have not forgotten a thing. And we intend to hold this administration accountable. We intend to continue to stand up until all the troops are brought home. All the troops are brought home. You can't address unemployment at home unless you begin to bring troops home and stop spending all of that money to wage an illegal and immoral and unethical war in other places and other countries. We intend to spend what we need to build houses and to get people out of foreclosures, to not bail out the banks, and definitely not supply the military-industrial complex. We want to bring these troops home now. face in the White House. Because if he's going to continue with the Bush policies, we might as well have kept Bush. We worked for change, to change the entire paradigm in which this country operates in the world. We organized for change so that working people will not be thrown out in the street. We organized for change so that we can close Guantanamo Base, so that we can end the war in Iraq, so that we would have no more military adventurism around the world. We worked for that, Mr. Obama. And if you understand the constituency that brought you to the White House, then you will begin to bend to be more accountable to those folks who walked streets and knocked on doors to get you elected. We intend to hold you accountable because we are the change. We are the what? We are the what? We are the change that we can depend on. Sisters and brothers, you know that every movement requires some support. You know, one of the things that we recognize is that the right wing got all the support. But that should not be the case, because our cause is just, our cause is moral, our cause is ethical, and therefore we need to raise some resources to continue to resource this movement, because we got to build this movement and roll this movement on until it brings true change to this nation. God bless you and continue to struggle.
Forces of oppression, the forces who would like to stop the valuable principles of free speech are also working. Answer's being fined right here in the District of Columbia for putting up posters where people put posters up all the time, all over Washington, D.C. But Answer and the anti-war movement has been targeted. We don't have a corporate media. We only have our determination as people to speak out for what is just, what is true, and we said, hell no, we don't want another troop to go. We want them to come home, and therefore we need to make sure that our speech is protected. Tens of thousands of dollars Answers being fined here in Washington, D.C. On the West Coast, our people are being picked up, arrested, and held for postering, given citations for postering. We need your support. We need your money. We don't have the military-industrial complex, but we have the will of the people. When you see these red buckets are going around. Give generous. Make a sacrifice today. Make a sacrifice for our freedom now. Please. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Right now, we bring to the stage a person who needs no introduction. He is the president of Veterans for Peace, Mike Ferner. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes, sir.
When a bomb started falling on Baghdad 7 years ago today, some of us who had some idea of how these things go said this is not going to be quick, and we're probably going to still be in Iraq 10 years from now. Well, that was opposed to what a few of the liars in high places said about how fast and easy this was going to be. And their lies were echoed in the right-wing media machine. But today, we're still in Iraq, we're still in Afghanistan, we're starting the 8th year in Iraq. In 2 years, we will probably still be there. In 3 years, we will probably still be there. A decade from now, we will probably still be there. And you can bet we will, unless enough of us throw out enough people out of Congress who keep voting money, unless enough of us find the courage to sit down and gum up business as usual, and unless enough soldiers refuse to fight in these illegal and immoral wars, and Veterans for Peace is done being a good soldier. There is an enormous cost to this war. We know that. I want to use just one example. I come from a small town, Toledo, Ohio, 300,000 people. Our American citizens since the invasion of Afghanistan have sent to these wars $750 million of tax money just to these wars. Last week, the mayor tells us they're laying off 20% of our police officers. Firefighters are next. Our city parks are going to be closed and the swimming pools this summer. The list goes on in every city across this country. The other cost, of course, is the cost in human suffering. I worked as a hospital corpsman for 3 years during the Vietnam War, and I worked in a Navy hospital and tried to put young men back together when they returned from Vietnam and Cambodia. And I can tell you one thing, that anybody in this town, before they vote one more nickel for war or order one more troop into war, ought to have to work for a couple of months in the backwards of a VA hospital and find out what it's like to take care of men and women who can no longer get up to go to the bathroom, have to learn how to put catheters in themselves, and all of the costs associated with that. At the end of the march, we'll be coming right back here. Many of you probably know that at 4 p.m. the President has invited Congress to the White House. Veterans for Peace, Iraq Veterans Against the War, Military Families Speak Out will be joining up right on that corner where we're going to take off from, and we're going to see what would be a good thing to do to continue our presence around the White House. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, the Kabul will ask, is it safe? Vanity will ask, is it? And has always stood up for that which is right. Please give a thunderous welcome to Ramsey Clark.
Hey, we've got our work cut out for us. Yes, sir. A long way to go. But we have to start with today, the 7th anniversary of the war of aggression against Iraq. The Nuremberg judgment declared the war of aggression the supreme international crime, which it pretty obviously is. Our war of aggression was against an essentially defenseless country. We don't want to recognize that. George Bush wanted to play the hero on the deck of Abraham Lincoln, you remember. But that country had been bombed to daylight in the Gulf War. Their military armament was essentially destroyed. Their infrastructure was bombed out. And on Hiroshima Day of 1970, we had forced the United Nations to impose genocidal sanctions on Iraq. I guess we chose Hiroshima Day on purpose. And that one act took more than 1.5 million lives, according to every organization that deals with health and food, children, UNICEF and Food and Agriculture and World Food Program and all the rest. 1.5 million lives were taken by sanctions imposed on the people, and half of the 1.5 million were children under 5. But it wasn't a neat division. You know, 1.5 million suffered and everybody else lived happily ever after. Stunted children, a generation of stunted children. Impaired health on the general population. And we came in there like gangbusters, and it's been hell on earth ever since. And there has to be accountability for it. If there's not accountability, America will never stop warring. We have to believe we can do it. We have to begin with hearings. There got to be hearings in the House Judiciary Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. The Department of Justice has to investigate. We have committed the supreme international crime. And those who are responsible for it have to be held accountable here by the people of the United States. Yes, sir.